Wrexham 1, Man United 0. Even though our season has not started yet officially, it feels like we already just kick-started our season off with the loss, even though it is just preseason. But I think for those who are saying, "Oh my God, there's no way we lost to Wrexham. How do we just lose to Wrexham? A team that's even that's in the championship, not even in the Prem." You guys need to calm down a little bit. And for those who are saying it's just preseason, who cares? It doesn't matter. It's not even real until the season starts. You guys need to wake up, because the whole point of preseason games is to find a setup and see if that setup works. And it's to also figure out where there are flaws in our current game, and what players we need to still scout for, what players it is that we need to be wary of once we go into the season. That is the whole point of preseason games. And I think the display that we were shown on Sunday, I think it sends a lot of messages and it doesn't. So I think moving right into it, I'm going to start off with obviously the main talking point, Andrey Santos. Most of my analysis right now is just going to be based off the first 45 minutes, just because second 45, our entire team was pretty much subbed off and it was just the academy players playing. So I'm gonna stick to my analysis being mainly on the first half. So starting off with Andrey Santos, I think his debut performance was really good. It was impressive. It was pretty much exactly what I see at Chelsea. Always receiving the ball from your center backs, trying to go forward, not really focusing on making any backward passes, always focusing on progression. That same Santos that I saw at Chelsea, same exact Santos that I saw on display in the Man United shirt. And defensively, he was good as well. He had that one good block where our keeper, Tom Heaton, got caught off guard a little bit. I think it was like the 12th minute, 15th minute, something around there. And he did amazing to recover and put himself in the perfect position to be able to block the ball and make sure that if it was a shot, it wasn't going into the net. And if it was a cross, it wasn't going anywhere inside, like as close to the net as it possibly could. So I think overall, his performance was really good. I know he had that one slip up where his pass got intercepted really easily. It looked very careless, and then it could have resulted in a goal. Thank God. I'm pretty sure that was the moment where it was offside. But even then, Tommy did amazing anyways to close the distance and stop the ball from going in. But regardless, I think aside from that one mistake, even another one where defensively he looked a little shaky, I think he did all right. He did pretty good. And once again, it just felt like the exact same Santos that I was seeing at Chelsea, which good to see. But obviously, there is improvements needed in terms of his defensive awareness. His positioning is good, could be better, but otherwise, I'd say for a debut performance in a team that he's never played with before, he did pretty solid. So also taking in the fact that it is against Wrexham, got to take it with a little bit of grain of salt. But once again, he does play in the Prem. It's not like he's never played in the Prem before. So once again, with him moving forward, I don't think there should be too much issues. I know there's a way more benefits that this player brings to the team, to that midfield, than flaws and concerns. So as far as I'm concerned, I think he did good. And I think there is more for us to expect from him. Once again, he is 22 years old. He's a young talent, future prospect. So we need to just keep that in mind and make sure that he is developing over as his time goes. So with Andrey Santos, I think he did pretty good. I think moving on, I'm just gonna talk about all the good players first before I get into any concerns. Another one, Ayden Heaven. Once again, I feel like he plays the same. I don't think there's a game where you can say he had a really, really bad game, because sometimes he does have minor slip ups. Even once again in the game in the first half against Wrexham, he had that minor slip up. He misplaced a pass, and the player was. It looked like the player could have been through on net, but Ayden Heaven did so well to track his man back and make that last ditch tackle. For me, that tackle, it was so important for him to be very precise and make sure he doesn't give away a penalty, because in the direction that he made the tackle, it was one of those Casemiro type of tackles where you're using your right leg to try and block the ball, but your body is parallel with the player that's running. So those type of tackles, it's very easy to mess up. And the fact that he got that point on, it was impressive. And that's what you want to see from your center backs, because even if there is a minor slip up, you want to make sure that they are a good ball player. They can break lines as well. And for players like that, it is important for them, even if they do lose the ball, you make sure that they don't lose their confidence on the ball when you know they have the ability to make last ditch tackles, like Ayden Heaven did in that game. So for me, I feel like that was very impressive. I feel like once again, it was kind of like the same Aiden Heaven that we were seeing in last season when Martinez was out and Maguire was out. So once again, happy to see that he in any way is not affected by the break at all. He's still looks like he's still fresh. Looks like he hasn't even stopped training. So that's good. I'm really happy to see him, and I want to see more from him. I want to see him get more playing time. The fact that now we are in the Champions League, I feel like those small games he will be starting. I have no doubt about that. So that's another good thing. um, another player that I don't want to talk about was Lenioro. I think he played a right back position, and it felt really weird because we were playing. It looked like we were just playing with the players who didn't really make the World Cup. So in that case, may somewhat make sense. We were playing Lenny or right back. I didn't mind it. I'll be honest. I didn't really. I didn't mind it at all. I think he was also pretty solid. But once again, I don't know how much I could really give an insight on that because it looked like he was just playing there because there's no one else for us to play right back in the moment. The the correct right back, but he was making do. He was making do of a position that he doesn't really normally play in. He's normally in that right center back position. So once again, it was a good display. Nothing concerning. It looks like at least if we need so and so a right back when hopefully not, but Dallo and Maserati both are not available. Lenier can be a pretty good solid backup option. Once again, it's just his one-on-one defending needs to improve. Once again, I always believe Lenier in the 24-25 season, he was really good. But in the 25-26 season, we saw him have so many issues when it comes to man marking, his defensive awareness once again. So I think those are the aspects that need to improve. But otherwise, his tackles, him being the last man, you can always trust Lenier. So once again, his man marking just needs to improve. I think that's about it with Lenioro. And otherwise, something it was with Patrick Dorgu. I think he had an all right game. It's just once again we know that Patrick Dorgu left wing. He's been solid for us. Even his last start against whoever we played last. I'm forgetting who it was, but the game where we won 3-0. Scored, assisted his first start since the Arsenal game, so it looked like he came back really fresh. And even in his first game for Denmark, he scored a banger. So I don't think this preseason for me really affects how I see him. I think there is this debate: should Dorgu play left back? Should he play left wing? I think he fits so much better. He looks so much more confident in left wing. And the fact that he's still able to rip shots like that, like he did in his first Denmark game, hats off, man. I'm really looking forward to Patrick Dorgu. I'm not gonna, put him on a pedestal yet. I'm not gonna overrate him or anything like that. It's just I think I do have belief that he will be a good left wing option. So if we can once again go ahead and get that left back signing, someone like Lewis Hall, I'd be very impressed. So, and I think it would be a really, really good sign moving forward to next season. So, there's that. And overall, I think another player that I should probably give my props to is Mason Mount. I think Mason Mount in that deeper eight role, like every single time when Bruno's not playing, you can kind of look at Mason Mount as the next creator, the next 10. But once again in that I'm forgetting again who we played against last game. But our last game of the season, he played in that double pivot and beside Kobe Mainu, and he looked really solid. So I think it was that same Mason Mount again that I saw, and that wasn't in the number 10 playing a little bit of a deeper role, which I found really interesting. Because for a player like Mason Mount, he's normally like profiled as an attacking midfielder, but I think in that deeper role, he still does a good job. So I feel like we can maybe consider him a pivot option. I'd just rather not, just because not only is I feel like his better position is an attacking midfielder, but once again, his availability is just too much of a concern for you to even say Mason Mount is a good option for X position. He's good for Y position. So I think that's that. And yeah, I think in terms of what I saw that was that can give me some hope, I think that's about it, to be honest. But I think the concerns are a little bit more worrying than the amount of hope that I can get from the benefits that I saw. For example, starting off with the big concern for me, Joshua Zirkzee. We saw good cameos of him in the 25-26 season. His game against Palace, he scored an amazing goal. Even against Palace at home, he had a good cameo. There are a couple games where he has good cameos, but then I don't even know what happened. Our second last game against I believe it was Forest. He was stinking. That was so bad. And when you think it couldn't get worse than what we saw on that day, this Wrexham game was a 500 times worse. Normally his dribbling, he looks a little flashy. He looks controlled. He looks composed. But when I saw him play in the striker position, that made me so concerned because now it feels like we don't even have a good backup striker. Don't get me wrong. Maybe in Champions League when we play against teams that where we should be guaranteeing a win, maybe he could be good then because once again they're probably going to be more opened up. There's probably more options for him to do something amazing. But my goodness, was that dreadful for me to watch him play in that number nine. And I think, like myself, many Man United fans do have concerns saying, do we even have a legit striker option? I think I have to agree myself. I don't know if I can consider him a good backup nine. So that is something that is worrying. I highly doubt that we're gonna bring in a backup striker by the end of the transfer window because we still need one more midfielder. And preferably, if I had to choose, I would rather us sign another left back over another striker because we know that Cunha can at least play striker or Mbuemo can play striker. Either of those can work, but it's just if we're looking at Xerxes, even a game that could be, in contention, similar level to us in the Champions League, I don't know if he's enough. I don't know if he's enough. So that was a massive concern for me. Another another small concern is Mbuemo. Now I know he didn't once again have that great of a game. I think just ever since that City game, not even City, I would say ever since the second time we played Spurs, when he played Spurs at home, I just don't think he's been that same kind of Mbuemo. Like even our game against Forest, like he was alright. He was alright. But once again, I think Mbuemo's performance really depends on whether Ahmad, for one, is playing in that right wing or is not, and if Ahmad's playing good. Because of every single time I could think of Mbuemo having a good game, it's when Ahmad is on his right side. Is when Ahmad is providing him with support. So I think that partnership for him is so crucial that let's just say that there is he's going to be taking on the right wing. Obviously, he's not going to be playing right back. So if he doesn't have that partnership, how does he perform? I think for me, I think it is a little bit of a concern because that means that we can only have Mbuemo on the nine and Ahmad right wing if we want to make Mbuemo work. Which can we do that most of the time? I don't think so. Especially if we have Sesko starting, then what are the options, right? Do we have Mbuemo as a bench player and start Ahmad right wing, or do we have Mbuemo right wing and have Ahmad as a bench player? Because obviously, me personally, I would say Mbuemo has more to him than Ahmad does. And Mbuemo's finishing is so much better. He's so clinical. But at the same time, if he's not the same player he is without Ahmad on the pitch, then it just kind of feels like we're playing with 10 men from our side. So I think that is also a small concern that we have. Um, and yeah, I feel like honestly that's probably mostly it. Like, I think those are the two concerns that I really saw. And honestly, the third one really isn't a player concern. It's more so a play style concern because once again we don't know how much to take away from that performance purely because we weren't playing with our full starting squad, but also because we were playing with Bruno, and you can tell the crazy difference how we play when Bruno's not on the pitch. During our midweek games, we're not going to be making Bruno play the full 90 minutes. So if Bruno's not playing, then how are we going to perform as a team? Once again, I still think we're just too Bruno centric. And don't get me wrong, maybe these problems might get solved when we got Tielemans in the team, and maybe another midfield through the door, and we start with Sesko or like another like Mason Mount in the 10. I don't know yet. Once again, these are things that are just hypotheticals, and we weren't able to see just because it's preseason. But like this can't go unnoticed. It can't go unnoticed the fact that we are still too Bruno centric. So it's important to see how we're going to develop as a team without Bruno in the starting 11. Not even the starting 11, maybe even on the team sheet, because there definitely should be games where Bruno should not be touching the pitch because we don't need him to. But even in those easy games where he's not necessary, it just feels like when he's not playing, we're basically on the same level as teams who we should be beating easily. So I think that once again that can't go unnoticed, and there has to be a solution around it. So I think these are kind of like the takeaways you can take from Saturday's game against Wrexham. And once again, we shouldn't be too reactionary, being like, "There's no way we just lost." How do we like? We're starting our season with a loss, yada yada yada. I don't think it should be taken to that level of disappointment. But at the same time, we can't just be saying it's just preseason. This shit doesn't even matter. It does. It does, and you have to take it in the right context, and you have to build around what you kind of took away from that game, what needs improvement, and what kind of players we still might need to even bring through the door. If we can get a midfielder and a left back, maybe if we have room, now we know that we might possibly need a striker. So these are just things that we have to be aware of moving into next season.